I don't know if you noticed, but I've changed the intro blurb at the start of my video. It now states, "This channel is for entertainment purposes only. Sir Sick is an idiot of the highest order and cannot be held responsible for any, completely unintended, learning of the things that you might do, and should never, ever be used as a source for any information whatsoever, because, as stated, he are dumb." Always fact check any claims that are presented to you, no matter how handsome, famous or good at the sex the individual presenting them is. If you have a problem with anything I have to say or the information I present, please feel free to correct my stupids. However, if you just don't like it and can't refute it, just calling people names without a shred of an argument will make it obvious that you got nothing. All content used is subject to fair use. Just wanted to point that out because it took me a goddamn hour to reconstruct the flipping intro to remove the old text, and I'll be damned if I let anyone miss out on my mildly amusing writing. Now, onto the video.
This video will show you 3 things that you agree to.
I agree to nothing. You can't just tell someone what they have and haven't agreed to in the slightest. It's impossible, and I know you will agree with me on that one. Oh, wait. You know what? Never mind. Let's start again. And skip that part so I can forget. Might stop my brain from hurting so much.
This video will show you 3 things that you agree to before you were born into your life.
Okay, so now it hurts more. What? Things I agreed to before I was born into my life? Apart from the terrible speakerizing, that's just an insane statement. Before I was born? I mean, who the hell told you I was born? I think you'll find I was made fully formed out of humanity's own hatred for itself. But okay, let's say I was born like one of you disgusting creatures. I'm pretty sure babies don't have the cognitive capacity for decision making. They just kind of react to things. So the idea that they could agree to anything is preposterous. Although I fear you don't mean babies, but your spirit or consciousness.
I'm going to share with you these concepts that you can remember so that you can literally start to remember yourself to the full part of who you prefer to be.
Ooh, sorry, just threw up in my mouth a little. I think I've developed a woo salad allergy. Remember who you prefer to be? Wait, actually, can I be Patrick Stewart? Nah, actually, I'd rather just be with him. I would have that man's babies. I know it's impossible, but I can dream, can't I?
Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron, and I help people expand their consciousness.
Welcome back to another video. My name's Sir Sick, and I help people lose their consciousness. Just follow my lead. Wait, almost there.
Now in this video, we're going to be talking about the 3 things that you can remember about yourself, 3 things you agreed to before you came into this life.
And another thing, I can barely remember what I had for breakfast. And you seem to think I should be able to remember anything I might have said before I existed. Seems like a bit of a stretch. And you know how I feel about stretching. Stretching is for people who exercise.
That will help you understand more about how to navigate through your life experience. Now, the first one has to do with forgetting who you are in the larger aspect.
I'm going to be petty and point out the music cut, like, wow dude, learn to fade. And, okay, forgetting who I am in the larger aspects, there's a few questions that poses, but the most important being, I got this rash right, and it's going sort of purpley green, and it really itches and... Wait, no, I meant what's a larger aspect, not the other thing.
So, part of the purpose of life.
Okay, wow. So we got a full-on answer to the meaning of life, have we? I don't know what to say. Most of you lot are at the very least open to that they are stating an opinion or an idea, but you know what you are saying is the truth, TM. No caveats, no maybes, just boom. I like it. It's going to be much easier to make fun of you. Not that I would ever do that. No, I'm a good boy.
Is that when we're born here, we forget that we are immortal spiritual beings.
I knew there was something I forgot. I'm an immortal spiritual being. Of course, how silly of me. It's like when you walk into the kitchen, right, and forget what you're doing, and then boom, 6 weeks later, you find your dog a dried up husk in the corner of the basement. I was supposed to feed him. I did wonder what that crying was. Scatterbrain I am.
Now, maybe as a baby we kind of remember that, but as we are conditioned growing up, that's something that many times we become more and more separated from.
Babies remember that. Dude, babies don't even realise you exist anymore once you leave their field of vision. That's pretty goddamn dumb. But you think they can remember something as profound as being immortal spiritual beings. But fine, okay, let's say you're right. How do you know? You ever speak to a baby? Wah wah, poop and such. See? Not exactly stimulating conversation.
Then what we might do is from that separation, we might find ways of coping with that.
Sick brand whiskey. When you can't cope, don't.
Sometimes that emotion, that negative emotion that we feel growing up, is that gap that we feel from who we really naturally are.
And there I was thinking that the negative emotion was from hearing people like you spreading complete tosh. Or perhaps it's something more simple like, no matter who you are and what you have, there are always going to be moments that bring you down and make it seem like the world is against you, whether you have everything or nothing. What am I talking about? No, it's because we've forgotten we're invincible space ghosts. That's a far more reasonable explanation.
And there's a couple purposes of this. The first purpose is that in order for us to really have an experience that we can learn from, we have to forget who we are.
What? Even if I were an aforementioned ghosty boy and I knew it, that would make the things I did no less meaningful. I mean, your meat suit is still mortal. You gotta start over every time. I don't know about you, but that would certainly encourage me to learn the best I can from my experiences. And even if I was mortal, while that would affect how I interacted with the world, it wouldn't change much outside of not worrying about danger. Well, much, I assume. You could still get hurt and stuff, but there's lots of things you can do you would certainly learn a lot from.
It's the idea that you're playing a video game.
I wish I was playing a video game. If this was a video game, I wouldn't be getting so annoyed and feel the need to smash my face into a wall. Actually, you know what? That sounds exactly like how I play video games. But only because I suck.
And if you were to know that you're just playing a video game, you might not take it serious, you might not really relate to it.
What are you talking about? I mean, you shouldn't take your blinking fun box too seriously, but you can definitely relate to and learn from video games the same as any media. I wouldn't get more out of Moulin Rouge, which is definitely not one of my favourite films ever. Don't believe the filthy lies. I wouldn't get more out of it if someone randomly burst in and started threatening me with a gun at random points in the movie. In fact, I think that might be kind of distracting if I'm completely honest.
But if when you're playing the video game you actually believe that that is who you are,
you might have some kind of identity disorder, and for the love of God seek help. I mean, by all means, immerse yourself in the game. Identify with or even as the character. But if you literally think that you inhabit the world and are the person, or more likely a geometric shape, well, holy cripes, that's a little bit concerning, man. Not being able to separate fantasy from reality is a bad thing.
Then what happens is it's a very different experience. You actually relate to it. You actually learn from a deep level of experience.
Thing is, there are ways of play that do certainly enhance your engagement, that actually come back around to what I said, e.g. the roguelike or most any game with what we call permadeath. Now, to your average person who plays games casually, this probably sounds horrific, but there are people, myself included, who play certain games where when you die, you start at the beginning again with nothing. Now, there is absolutely no risk to life or limb, apart from the aforementioned head smashing, but it is definitely more engaging as an experience, especially the better you are doing, the longer you'll run, because at any moment you could lose everything, except for your own knowledge and skill of how things work, etc. In fact, those games would be absolutely awful if you didn't have the ability to become better at them, because you would never progress, never see the new things and what it has to offer. You would always just get creamed after a short amount of play and wonder why the hell you even bother. Seems that would suck all the fun out of your supposed idea, but perhaps that's just me.
Now that's one of the purposes of that agreement that you made. That first off, or second off, you are an immortal spiritual being having a temporary human experience.
Wait, what? Which is it? Are we on 1 or 2? This is just needlessly confusing. Stop it.
And when you come here and you are conditioned growing up, you forget that that is who you are. And then things can become scary.
If we don't usually know about this cosmic brouhaha, how do people know to condition you to be that way? Is it just a constant cycle? Or are there certain woke people like yourself who control everyone to be these apparent massive jerks? It seems that there would have to be a lot of people that need to be in the know for this system to work. And yet, if there are, it's also odd that they haven't studied into it properly. And how these things have worked apparently the same way all this time when we have had multiple massive changes in the way societies work, but that has apparently no effect on this. It all smacks of nonsensical conspiracy to me.
Because there's all of these things that the ego is threatened by. We get threatened by death. We're threatened by judgment for others. We're threatened by all these negative emotions.
Right, I gotta ask, because the whole point of this video does elude me. I mean, I don't think it would make any sense either way, but why are you making this? You said yourself that we agree that we don't remember ourselves, and that shortly after birth we do in fact forget, and that the reason for doing so is that we can have a worthwhile experience. So by your own rules and logic, what you're doing right here is downright diabolical, because you're essentially invalidating current lives of anyone who learns this. Because as you said, if they know, they aren't going to take it as seriously. There's no consequences, etc. And I just can't understand why, as someone who apparently buys into this crap, why would you do this? Thankfully, every word out of your mouth is horse movements, so it's irrelevant. I just find it kind of self-defeating.
And when we realize that in a way, those are all there to help us evolve, those are all there for us to remind us who we really are, it then begins to change the whole script.
Well, I got judged and bullied and had hardships in my life, and then one day I was like, of course, I'm an unkillable spooky chap. It all makes so much sense now.
Now, this is a personal belief of mine, but I believe that we choose our parents when we come into life.
That's an extremely disturbing belief. I mean, seriously, that's a fantastic way to just ignore the hardship of those who grew up in households with monstrous parents, or those who are orphans / given up at birth, because they made that choice, so they should have to deal with the consequences, right? Stands to reason. Good job it's just a personal belief, unlike all these objective facts that you've been giving out prior.
I believe that from a higher level perspective, there are certain themes that we have in our life that we are meant to experience, and that from those themes, there are certain things that we can learn.
Like how to not get randomly attacked by a bunch of crazies completely out of the blue. Maybe how to avoid getting an incurable disease through no fault of your own. Perhaps you can learn how to not have any personal tragedies ever. Because seriously, if you're going round and round in this life fairground, you're gonna be really well practiced at having terrible stuff happen to you. So why on earth would you keep coming back to it? Because everybody has this stuff happen to them, and there's nothing you can do about it. What do they say? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, and expecting Sir Sick not to leave and get drunk only part way through. On a completely unrelated note, I'm off to the pub. Do you want pretty okay clothes at fairly alright prices? Then head on over to Sir Sick's merch store. There you can buy Sick brand merch, and not a lot else. Who needs food, water, or accommodation when you can have a hoodie with my face on it? No one, that's who. I can't even afford them because I have a home, like a moron. So get on over today before these printed to order clothes run out somehow. And you're gonna need a lot of them when you're sleeping outside on the ground with your family like that. It's cold out there. I do envy you.